when there's disputes or disagreements on ideas, like how do you handle, and I think conflict is probably too harsh of a word, but in the absence of a thesaurus, I'll just say, how do you handle that conflict?
Yeah, so I wrote a whole book about this. I wrote this book series, How to Write Funny, and the third book in the series is all about writing in a group and how to manage a group of writers, because The Onion was an opportunity for me to develop this whole system for how to manage creative people and pick the best ideas so that you're judging the ideas by merit and not by other factors. So in a writer's room, it's so easy to pick the funniest person's joke because they said it the funniest, or they're the funniest person everyone likes the most. And with comedy writing, it's just, there's so much ego tied in with the work that it's so easy for egos to get bruised, people to get upset. They write a whole list and not one of their jokes gets on the short list. They're going to be upset. And so this whole system I developed basically comes down to the anonymity of the jokes. So they have to submit their jokes and they all go on a list where you don't know who wrote what joke. And you make sure every writer is invested in the end product being great. So, and everybody understands that they have bad weeks sometimes. They're going to have weeks where they don't write a single joke that works. Totally fine. We all have that. But they need to celebrate the jokes that work. So people are encouraged to sort of vote on or chime in on the jokes that they didn't write and say whether they like them or not. And then I'm doing all this virtually now, there's no live writer's room, but I'm looking at everybody's opinion about the jokes. And then I have my own opinion, and I can assess whether I agree with the majority or I don't agree. But ultimately, when it comes to comedy, I feel like there has to be one person who's in charge, whose comedy voice is ultimately going to be the arbiter of what works. So that person has to have veto power, and that person can pick a joke that nobody else liked at their peril, because that generally means that you're wrong. Everyone didn't like it. It probably doesn't work. So I learn a lot from just listening to the opinions of other people. And because a lot of times people are too nice. And this is the biggest problem in comedy. They just say, oh yeah, I thought that was really good. It was X, Y, and Z. Very rare that someone will say, I didn't like that joke, thought it was stupid. But that's the most valuable feedback, because that's what the end reader or audience is going to be thinking. They're going to be thinking, that sucks, not funny. It's just too rude to say that to another coworker, like in a writer's room meeting.
Yeah.
The anonymity gets you past that. So now you just don't comment on the ones that you think suck. You only point out, oh, on this list of 25, I thought these 3 were great. You're saying 22 of the jokes sucked, but you don't have to say that. And somebody feels good. Hey, 3 of my jokes were good. They feel good.